Welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just finished watching the second episode of She-Hulk, the new Disney Plus show, and I gotta say, this episode is even better than last episode. Yeah, obviously full spoilers ahead. And wow, I'm impressed with this show so far, like really impressed. Okay, so first off, the thing that happened at the very end of last week, it very quickly kind of gets like swept away, and what I mean by that is like, okay, so we had Titania, who we don't, in the show at least, they don't tell you much about this character. All we know is that she's a super powered influencer, and it like they say that really quick. We don't know why she was there or what she had to do with the case, and I honestly, I'm still confused. Maybe I missed something, but they kind of just swept that away, right? Like it just like, oh, she's a super powered influencer, and I guess there's like a really small like news ticker that's like, oh, she apologized and she said it was due to low blood sugar or something, but it's not really like a plot point. And I was kind of confused because I'm like, why is this not the focus of what's happening? I mean, I really like the episode we got, but like the whole Titania situation, it just kind of goes away. So I don't know, maybe I missed something. Maybe there was some kind of promo where they explain like what her deal is, but the episode itself doesn't really say much about her. But the point is, because she saved the jury, now they would be like biased in her favor, right? So they called for a mistrial, and now Jennifer Walters got fired. And that happens like immediately at the beginning of the episode, and that's essentially what she's dealing with for at least the whole second half of the episode here. They even changed the title to from attorney at law to attorney for hire right after she gets fired, so I thought that was pretty funny. There's like a couple little meta winks at the audience like that. And yeah, basically she's not being able to be hired anywhere because essentially now that everyone knows she's She-Hulk and knows that like, oh, superpowered person, it would be like this big circus act, it would be like this big distraction. You can't just do a normal court case without the jury being like, hey, that's She-Hulk, that's the superpowered person, right? So it makes sense as to why she can't just be hired to a normal place. But of course, eventually along comes, I forget his name already, it's JKL and H or something, this other law firm which hires her. And it turns out to be the same law firm that she was going against when Titania attacked. So part of me, honestly, at this point, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, was this all part of their plan to hire her? Like, did they set up this whole Titania fight where she would have to, like, become She-Hulk in public and then she gets fired so that way they can hire her? I'm wondering if that was the plan, because, like, they admit that, like, oh, yeah, we got you fired by requesting a mistrial. So she's like, oh, so you fired me so you could hire me, or you got me fired so you could hire me, kind of thing. Interesting. I wonder if that's going to be the reveals that, yeah, Titania's working with us, and we told her to do that, all right, obviously we'll find out more, because Titania is supposed to be like a big part of the show. So for her to show up, get dealt with, and then not really be discussed in this episode that much seems kind of strange, but I'm sure it's building towards something. Anyways, so now they have hired her to be like as you see in the trailer, to be the division for superpowered peoples, brand new division. She's going to be the face of it. Of course they're requesting that she be in her She-Hulk form the whole time. And so that's just going to be her big thing, right? Her big struggle is like, everyone's going to be taking pictures of her and staring at her and be like, oh, She-Hulk, She-Hulk. And she doesn't get to just be Jennifer Walters anymore, So whereas Bruce had to deal with the fact that the Hulk personality itself is a completely uncontrollable monster that causes death and destruction everywhere, her big struggle here is that like everyone just wants the She-Hulk. They don't want Jennifer. You know what I mean? And so it's going to be that kind of thing of like, yeah, she can get everything she essentially wanted for her career as She-Hulk, but you know what I mean? It's only because like, oh, it's only because she's green now, like, so it's interesting layers there. Let's see. Oh, she does call Bruce at some point because they ask her first big case, of course, is to represent Emil Blonsky, the Abomination, and so she calls Bruce to ask if it's okay. And they do this funny segment where Emil's been like writing haikus and all that to all the people that he injured in Harlem. And he had given one to Bruce, and Bruce is like totally cool. It's like, oh yeah, he wrote me a haiku the other day. That fight happened so long ago. So, again, just, yes, everything that happened in the Incredible Hulk movie did happen. But yeah, so he's like, that fight happened so long ago, and it's totally okay if you represent him, all that stuff. And then they do something that's building towards something. There's all kinds of rumors about a Planet Hulk movie or a World War Hulk movie or something, or maybe Hulk's son that he might have had on Sakaar, because she's like, oh, are you gonna come to LA anytime soon? And he's like, probably not. And it zooms out, and he is on the spaceship that caused their car crash, and he's flying towards somewhere. He's flying out in space, so he's gone. So yeah, I mean, the last time the Hulk left, obviously he was trapped on Sakaar for 2 years. So who knows what's going on now? I don't know if this is going to be something that's continued in this series, or if that's just going to be like left for a movie or something at some point. Look, I think, when is D23? I think that's happening sometime next month, I think. So I expect D23 to announce something. I don't know if it's going to be a TV show or a movie, but something's going on with the Hulk, because they just threw him in space again. So obviously that was a lead up to something, right? Very, very interesting stuff. But yeah, so Emil Blonsky, while she was having her conversation with him, he brings up some interesting points. He's like, look, I was hired by your government, and then I was given super soldier serum by your government. I thought I was going to be Captain America, and I was told to take out this threat, And if you watch The Incredible Hulk, I mean, it's kind of true, right? Like, he takes the serum, and then he progressively gets more aggressive until, he starts, like, injecting himself with more and more stuff. He gets the Hulk blood injected into him, and eventually turns into Abomination. So the point could definitely be argued that it's only because the government began injecting stuff into him that he would later, like, inject himself with Hulk serum and become the Abomination and do everything that he did, right? So, I think they're definitely going to win this case, because it totally makes sense. That's like, yeah, he didn't do this to himself, did he? Like, this is only because General Ross did this. Now, another interesting point there is, Thunderbolt Ross, last time we saw him, I think it was Infinity War. The actor, I believe, has passed since then, so I'm not sure if they're going to do that in this show, if they're going to say, like, he's also passed, or what they might end up doing. But, yeah, the last time we saw him, he was Secretary of Defense, I believe. So I don't know how they would be able to be like, oh, it was the government's fault. Specifically, the Secretary of Defense himself told me to do this, So I'm very interested to see how that conversation would go. But yeah, I don't know what their plan is for General Ross, because they could recast him, or they could say that he's gone, right? They did mention in Civil War that he's had, like, what do you say, a triple bypass or something like that. So they could say, like, yeah, his health, he had increasing health problems, and it's possible. I don't know. That's it's always unfortunate, of course, when an actual actor passes. So not sure what the plan is there, but yeah. Anyways, the episode ends very interestingly, and I, of course, I knew that this was going to be addressed, but I didn't know exactly how this was going to come into it. So Emil Blonsky had mentioned that, like, oh, I'm currently on loan to the government, right? I think he mentioned something along those lines when they were talking. But then it ends with news footage of the cage fight that we saw in Shang-Chi, where he's fighting Wong. And, it's like, oh, apparently he escaped, and we have no word from his attorney yet, So it's like, okay, so now the public thinks he escaped, but it didn't really seem that way in Shang-Chi. It seemed like, Wong was there to teleport him back to his prison cell, and, a bunch of guards were there, just like this was part of the deal, like it wasn't, he didn't break out or anything. So I'm very curious as to like how this is going to be framed, because it seems like all they would have to do is, obviously I'm sure it's all like top secret government stuff, so maybe they can't publicly be like, oh no, he didn't escape, this was just like a mission that we sent him on. I don't really know how this is all going to go, because of course they're recruiting for the Thunderbolts movie, right? And we have to assume that the Abomination is part of that. So they want him free, but they're already sending him out on missions while he's in captivity. So I don't know. This is very, very interesting to see how, like, what the motivation is here for wanting him free at all, because presumably it's kind of like the Suicide Squad, where they have him captured, but he made some kind of deal where, like, okay, but you got to do these missions for us, right? So I don't know what's going on there. Also, I do gotta say, and I have not looked anything up. I do not know, what the deal may or may not be. But her new boss, the guy who put her in charge of this superhero division, he's really shady. He's really like, oh yeah, it's totally fine that Abomination tried to kill your cousin. I don't care about that. Also, I don't know. He's just something about him. It feels like there's gonna be a reveal there. Like he's not acting shocked or any. He's not acting like a normal person, I guess. So I don't know if that's gonna be like, oh, he's a scroll or something. I don't know, but something's up with their boss also. And yeah, overall, just this fan. I'm really enjoying this. This was a fantastic episode. It's a lot of cliffhangers, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Yeah, I think they're just doing a really great job with this show. They visit her family, so we see, I guess, her mom and dad, and then we see some other cousins, or was it her? I can't tell if those were supposed to be her siblings. Not really sure. They said a family dinner, so I was kind of surprised that Bruce wasn't there, but then they do the spaceship reveal, so I guess that makes sense. And then, of course, the after credits scene is just her helping her family lift things around the house, which, it's just a comedy, funny bit, right? So yeah, I guess I have to imagine next episode's going to be all about the Abomination case, trying to explain away the, like what happened in Shang-Chi exactly, how Wong was involved. And I have to imagine that Wong himself will show up. Maybe he's going to be a witness. Maybe Wong will take the stand and he'll be like, okay, well, here's what was happening. It was all about protecting reality or something. Wong can always say something like that. I wonder how publicly known Wong is, because he is now the Sorcerer Supreme, right? So, and obviously he's been seen with the Avengers during Endgame, and he's been seen publicly fighting monsters in Multiverse of Madness. So like all kinds of stuff. Wong's been there, right? So I wonder, what does the public know about Wong and the rest of the sorcerers? Because they know Doctor Strange, so I wonder how well known Wong is. It seems like he should be pretty well known, right? Anyways, so yeah, well, I really enjoy everything that's going on here. Between the boss being kind of shady, something's happening there. Titania, what is her deal? They didn't really explain that. I think she was hired by this new firm as a ploy to get Jen fired. And then the Abomination stuff, and then Bruce going off on a spaceship, and they got so many things happening in this show, and it's all really well tied together. I'm enjoying this. And it having comedy aspects doesn't feel like they're overdoing it. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like, oh, this is all just like a comedy skit. None of this matters. It feels really well balanced, I guess, is my thing. But they're also not afraid to like be lighthearted with it. Like, oh, it's a chick Hulk. You mean like a She-Hulk? Exactly. And like look right at the screen. It's kind of funny. Yeah, I really, really like this. And I guess my only thing is, like, there's still a whole bunch of trailer footage that we have not seen. Normally, the trailers are all kind of wrapped up within those first 3 episodes or so. So I guess we'll see next episode what's going on with all these crazy, like, we see like Minotaur looking people, and of course Daredevil, and we see like an elf looking guy and then some demon looking things, you know. So I guess next episode we'll see exactly what's happening with all that stuff. But yeah, very cool. How many episodes even is this show? I can't, because it doesn't feel like it's only going to be 6 episodes. It feels like maybe a 12 episode series or something. I don't know. But I'm having a good time. I'm really enjoying this. Let me know what you guys think about She-Hulk and your theories as to like what's happening. You know, where's Bruce going? What's the boss's secret? I'm sure it's out there in a comic book. I haven't looked it up. I don't want to know until they show it. And what's up with Titania? Why was that swept under the rug so quickly? Right? Like, they didn't even talk about that. It's like she broke into a court case and we don't even know why, really. And no one mentioned it. They just, like, Jen's fired now. Like, okay. That had to have been the plot, right? That had to have been, like, why she attacked. I don't know. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.